okay, we're good to go.
Okay, so basically in this screen all I'm doing is that I'm setting up my character. You would say that it's a standard RPG thing, that you can choose your weapons, you can choose your armors, abilities and potions, but something I would pose here on is that we wanted to create a game where we take what's important in an RPG and take away the clutter.
Yes.
Now, I'm a big fan, and you're going to find me that I go home, sit down in front of Skyrim, and my wife says goodbye because she knows I'm not going to be
10 hours later.
Exactly. And it's fine. And you do this fine micromanagement of everything. We wanted to design a game which you can play in your lunch break. You can go in, have a quick fix, have some fun, and then come back the next day. And to do that, for example, we simplify down the inventory. So monsters, for example, don't drop daggers, they drop gold. And then you can use the gold to buy the equipment. And you don't have to manage your equipment. This is everything I own. And these are other items available to me.
Right, okay.
And obviously this is now high-level characters, so but imagine that there was extra items and you can buy them.
Now is that something that's always there? Do you have to go to like a specific shop to like if you want to buy more items and stuff?
In the first iteration of the game, which we call Season A, to separate from Season 1 to 2 seasons. So from Season A, everything is on the same shop, but I am not gonna break any big secrets that in Season B we have some plans with some custom people who you have to fight your way somewhere to be able to access a specific type of item.
So to focus just a second on the season idea, so the Season A, Season B, so what's the kind of timescale going to be like between Season A and Season B, as in when do we then get? When will we get to play Season B? Is that like another? Is that like an update?
Yeah.
For example.
These games, we update the game constantly. We can, because you don't have to download a patch. If you click on the link, you just arrive to a new game automatically because everything is in the cloud.
Yeah.
So mini updates happen almost every 2 weeks. But we intend to do bigger updates every couple of months, which will be like Season B. Season A follows the character through level 1 to 20.
Right. Okay.
And then in that content you get to know, you build your relationship with Arthur and Merlin, and you discover the story. We introduced a whole new creature race called kobolds, and they are a threat to Camelot, and you are going to investigate what's behind them, where they're coming from, what they're trying to achieve, etc. And that's Season A. And of course at the end of season you discover something which then gonna be the starting point for Season B.
That's a really clever idea. That is really clever. I like that.
It makes sense for us because, you know, the TV show works like that.
But it kind of then runs in I mean, obviously it's not the TV show in terms of it's not the same story, which is good.
Yes.
But it kind of parallels it by having that kind of season idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it works well, and people like that idea. It's that there's a big cliffhanger at the end, and you think, oh my god, I want to find out what happens next, and then when the next season comes out. But it's all about cooperation with the audience, because we have this back and forth with them.
Okay.
We already have, they're in closed beta right now, there are a couple of thousand people in, and they tell us what they think.
Right.
They very loudly tell us what they think. But the point is that we can act on it, and already we have changes which we are doing because people were saying, well actually I wasn't sure about that, can you fix that?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
but to come back to this, so you create a character, and in that sense it's similar to an RPG, but we were trying to simplify a couple of things. For example, you don't have classes.
Right.
Now this guy clearly looks like a knight, but all I have to do is to change my equipment, and then suddenly I will become a wizard, because this equipment is giving me abilities and giving me access to things which are for a wizard, and I can change my abilities.
So you're not locked into a particular class.
Exactly. The reason for that is because, again, I didn't want people to feel that, oh, I made a mistake, I chose the wrong class, now I have to start all over again, you know. But if you change your mind, you can just change however you play. So the visual depth of the game, I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
I would like to believe, and obviously my eyes are blind to it, but I still believe that it stands out. I mean, this doesn't look like a game on Facebook does.
No. I mean, as I said, we already had the conversation before when I mistook it for a PC game until I hit escape and realised I was on Facebook. So.
And then it continues when you get onto the maps. Now I'm going to try to join someone. Hopefully I'm going to manage to do that.
Someone else playing at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So now there's 2 players already on that map, and I'm going to load that in. The idea is that imagine an MMO, and you have the hub universe, and then you have the actual action or raid or anything like that, and we cut out the path in between to save time.
Yeah.
So you as a player are going to be in the hub universe picking up the missions, and then you go to the quest immediately. So for example here, imagine that these icons will be your Facebook friends' profile pictures.
Yeah.
Now this is a capture the flag map. So what I'm doing is that we have to capture that item, have to carry it back. Now, what happens is that we're killing that guy, so I'm going to pick the item up, and now the other guys, these are 2 other players just besides us, they are protecting me while I can take it here. And I take it back, and we did the first one, and I have these phones again in random location. And you just have to find our way there, and the game captures this. Now these maps are designed to be about 5 to 20 minute stops.
Right.
So in your lunch break, you can finish like 2-3 of them. And what's lovely about this is that this kind of cooperation, what I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with, as I said, sending someone a sheep or something as a gift. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But this kind of cooperation is where the real fun is. You know, when you have those moments of camaraderie with your friends, is that, oh my God, I was so low on health and you just saved me. Or, you know, those moments are created real time. They are created in an environment where things are going on. You know, and again, the visual depth there, I think it's quite obvious. So those 2 things, well, 3, the fact that it's story driven, the fact that it's visually, I think, standing out, the fact that you play with other people real time makes it very different. Now, in the initial version of the game, we are letting you to play with your friends.
Right.
But we are already considering how we're going to change that. The point is that what we found is that people make friends in games, but primarily you play with your friends.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to start there. But then if the community says, no, actually we want to do more where I can play with anyone else, we are going to do that. And it's not impossible for us, but we wanted to start with a closer knit
Start there and then build out. Yeah.
Exactly. So
one question I wanted to ask is, what's the kind of, is there any sort of communication aspect? Because I mean, obviously if you're playing with your friends or whatever, you want to be able to sort of say, you know, go ahead, do this or whatever. Is there any sort of like text chat or anything like that you can have within the game?
At the moment, we relying on Facebook chat. Okay. So you can Facebook chat whilst you're playing.
I suppose yes, because again I keep forgetting it's Facebook, and I can just escape, and you've got
exactly.
Okay.
But this is a perfect example where we are listening to the community feedback, because one of the feedback was that Facebook chat is great and everything, but I want to do things in game. I want to be able to do emotes, or I want to type in a message and send it to everyone who is shading in the hub universe, and we're working on it. Okay. So, and again, what's wonderful is that we can do this. I worked on AAA games, and when you work on a 2-3 years cycle and you do downloadable content, then it takes you at least 3 to 6 months to do it. A turnaround time to be able to react to player feedback is very difficult, it's very long. Yeah. And you know, with all the processes to go through platform holders and everything, it's very difficult. So in a way, I feel very lucky that we have this opportunity that we can just act and react on things.
How long has the game been in development so far?
I would say that, strictly speaking, we started at the beginning of the year. Okay. But in fairness, at the time it was like 4 of us. Yeah. So it was a very small team. Now it's a somewhat larger team, and it's almost there. I mean, if I go to the map, this hub universe is ready. You don't see the mission givers, you don't see the key NPCs from the show here, but they're going to be there. They're already there, just not in this demo. But when I come here, you can see only 3 maps here. But actually, you see these almost invisible markers. Yeah. Every single one of them is an extra map. Okay. So there is, quite a large number of maps, and we constantly create new ones. Again, the idea was that in a big RPG, you would have to walk all the way. For us, you can just jump there. And again, there's nothing wrong with that gameplay, but we specifically said, okay, what is the coolest part of that game? And the coolest part is picking up the mission, customizing my character for that mission, and go on the mission.
And also, as well as you say, it's not an RPG as in you're playing on your PC, so you've got that kind of time.
Yes, exactly.
It's a Facebook game, so with that it's a different type of game. The way it's played is different. And this kind of drop-in, drop-out aspect is kind of what you want.
Exactly. Look, I mean, we were tempted to make bigger epic scenes, but the fact is the best feedback we got was those short and sweet levels. Like people prefer, like I did one, and you look at this, it looks very different visual.
Yeah.
You know, zoom out, it's a completely different environment the other one was, and people like that.
Yeah.
Like that I can go from one to the next. We in fact take you through. I think you have the forest, the castle, you have the old mines. There's one which looks absolutely awesome. There is in the Merlin universe established. There's a place called the Crystal Caves.
Yeah, yeah.
Look brilliant. We have that. So you know, that's kind of that kind of visual variety that I can go through, and in the same session I can experience a variety of different things. That works really well, and people reacted so far very well to the story.
Okay.
And it's very hard to please the fans because you know how fans are. Well, you'll find that in season 2, episode 3, it was clearly established that, and it's wonderful because I'm one of those guys.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be faithful to that, and it's very nice to see that they appreciate what we're trying to do. Let me give you one example. If I leave this map, on the map, it was really interesting because there is a map in the show. It's in one episode, it's visible. It's a brown hand-drawn map.
Okay.
And we used that as a basis to create it, which we created this map. And there was a lot of detail went into that. These things are at the right place. You know, that the Isle of the Damned is at the right place. And what we were thinking, you know what, no one is going to care. We released it, the artwork, and everyone was like, oh my god, that place, I know that was there. And it was just, you know, you just see that video.
It's nice to kind of get that reward for the work that you put into something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you know that you put in all the effort and you can see that people actually appreciate that. So, you know, the big challenge for us is to create a story which is fun for the fans who know the show inside out, but also for people who've never heard about the TV show. But luckily, the name Merlin is recognized by everyone in the Western Hemisphere. So that's an easy situation. But equally, the gameplay, providing something that someone like me, who is an RPG enthusiast, I feel that you're not wasting my time.
Yeah.
But equally, someone who's never played a game like that, they can come in and they can find their way around it. Striking that balance is a big challenge, but I'm very proud of what we achieved.
I mean, it looks amazing, as I said, for a Facebook game and stuff. And I mean, one of the other questions, I mean, I was talking to sort of John just beforehand, and he was kind of saying, you know, it's quite important for you guys that it's a kind of free-to-play game, so it doesn't cost anything. But what I'm interested in is, you've clearly got some sort of level of payment set up in there. People want to buy stuff. Could you just tell me a little bit more about how that works?
Freemium is a very weird model because in a lot of ways it shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, you're giving it away for free.
Yeah.
In our game, you can play through the entire story.
Right.
You can visit every single location without ever paying a penny. So you would think, well, why would anyone ever play? We pay, and I look at it freemium in a way that it's a demo. That the only thing the other demos limit, that they limit your access to the game.
Yeah.
They give you 2 levels. I give you the entire game. The limitation is that the pace you can play. So if you are purchasing, you can get through the game faster.
Right, okay.
And we also have things like, if you look at this inventory, I have items here which are going to be available for gold, and I can find gold playing the game.
Yeah.
But they're also going to be available for crystal, which is the premium.
Right.
So if you don't want to grind and collect all the gold, then you can just click and buy the weapon instantly. Yeah. And we have the only content we block, so to speak, is that we have, like this weapon, for example, this is crystal only.
Right.
But you don't need that specific weapon
to get through the
game.
Yeah.
It's just something that if you want to have something which is unique to your character, then you can do that.
Yeah.
And so that way, basically, the game is completely free to play, and we monetize on little elements like speeding your progress through the game, or getting access to some unique piece of dressing or unique piece of weaponry.
Okay. So when can we expect to get our hands on the game?
Very soon.
Right.
Season 5 is starting next Saturday.
Yeah.
And we are going to be very close to that day, but I cannot confirm just now, but it's very close. What I can tell you is that we're at the end of our closed beta.
Right,
so we're almost there.
Okay. And will you be doing, I mean, it's